Dr. Mark Changizi here with your Science Moment. There are folks, as we talked about in a recent Science Moment video, there are folks that are saying, look, we were discriminatory and prejudiced against the unvaccinated last year, but that's just because we were misinformed. We were told that the vaccine sterilizes and the virus and you can't pass it. We were misinformed, and so given what we knew, it was totally justified to discriminate and fire and banish the unvaccinated. Now, none of that makes sense even on its face, which I talked about last time. Even setting aside civil liberties, it doesn't make any sense at all. And of course, there's the whole civil liberties side, which it makes it utterly utterly wrong and dangerously wrong and just mind-bogglingly wrong. I don't know, and it just amazes all of us that the world lockstep was saying this. But I just want to focus on the censorship side and the misinformation side, because a lot of these folks were like, given what we knew at the time. Now, the same folks, as a general rule, the same folks who argued for banishing and firing and coercing and pushing out of society the unvaccinated for their becoming, joining the righteous cult, were the same people who argued that social media needs to censor misinformation, COVID misinformation. YouTube needs to do more, Twitter needs to do more, Facebook needs to do more to stop the deniers, the anti-vaxxers, all of these people who are saying anything against the mainstream narrative that we all have to take the vaccine and that they're totally 95% effective and natural immunity never works and blah, blah, blah. If you are arguing for censoring misinformation, you are guaranteeing, as we've talked about before, that the free expression networks are no longer free and they will break, which means what you will be being fed is much more misinformed. That's the point. Free expression is the mechanism by which society and science discovers the truth. You start censoring one viewpoint, then you're guaranteeing that over time, one viewpoint, the wrong viewpoint, will get amplified and amplified and amplified, because there's nothing that conflicts with it. There's no competition against it. You don't get the normal competitive forces that lead to reputations being thrown upon those who end up being right. You broke the network. You labeled as misinformation the stuff that turned out to be right, or at least corrective to what in fact was then the messages and the things that were encouraged on the network were all misinformation. From lockdowns to shutdowns, to masks, to social distancing, to the stupid plexiglass barriers, and to the vaccine and the nature of whether it transmits. All of this was in fact misinformation that you encouraged by virtue of censoring misinformation. No side is misinformation. All sides are needed to discover the truth. And that was your Science Moment. If you haven't checked out the Free Expression Institute, this is Dr. Tim Barber and my research institute devoted to the study of free expression, why it's important, why freedom itself depends on it. And our first big work that is associated with this is our new book, Expressly Human, Decoding the Language of Emotion. Get yourself a copy, and that was your Science Moment.